Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. So today will be more of a basic news day. We're not going to do a super deep dive as I have throughout this past week. I'm going to be doing a second video, diving in a lot deeper for the Substack forum this morning. So let's get through. One thing I want to share with you guys is one thing, guys, to be careful of. There's a lot of misleading sources and stuff out here. For example, again, not trying to bash, just helping you at the end of the day. I received a text message this morning. Someone sent me a text saying, "Hey, Sudani put information out that the current dinar value of 1310 would expire on January 1st." And I'm like, that's kind of interesting because the government or Sudani does not control the currency value or the monetary system. That's simply controlled only by the central bank. So Sudani can't even say that. Again, just be very careful where you get your information. Some people do videos where they just share information with you. They put their own twist and spin on it. If you perceive that as accurate, that's your choice. Again, you can't even see the information that they're sharing with you. You don't know. If you're a deep analytical thinker the way I am, how can you contest that? How can you argue it or verify, yet alone just simply verify its accuracy and credibility? Some people steal my information and show that they're getting text messages claiming it's accurate. And again, my information's being stolen, but they're telling you that their source sent them a text message that it's credible and accurate. You guys do what's best for you, okay? At the end of the day, it's not me. I don't care because I don't fall for this crap, but I'm just trying to help you guys out with wisdom. You do you. Let's get started here. Happy New Year to all you guys. All right. First, I want to tell you guys one of the things that I know I personally need. I've got kids, and I'm going to make sure my kids are positioned, their futures are positioned, yet alone my own. And I know I need this, and I know you guys are going to. There's a unique type of bank that I've got an amazing gentleman in this that he's a God-fearing Christian man. He's as versed in the world of investment as I am with you guys in dinar, researching the Iraq dinar. This gentleman is well versed in investments, and he specializes. I'm going to open a bank with him. He specializes in life insurance based investments. So let's talk about that, and then I'll get into the type of bank we're going to open for you guys. It's not a standard bank. It's a special bank that does very special things for you. Okay. Um, the investments he specializes are life insurance policies. A couple things about that. Life insurance policies hold strong and keep a strong value and gains and returns during recessions. They don't collapse. They're not dollar based. They don't collapse when the economy does or you have a recession. They hold strong. Okay. The other thing, people have accused Donald Trump or wealthy people of not paying their fair share of taxes. In these investment options, there's special strategic ones that allow you to be your own bank, so you can utilize them as a tax deference, and you can let people accuse you of reducing your taxes and not paying your fair share of taxes. Okay, there's a simple understanding of these investments. You'll have access to those. Now the critical aspect on the bank. The bank we're going to do is called a CDARS bank. CDARS bank is a special bank that writes loans to other banks. What that allows you to do is a CDARS bank allows you to have multiple accounts up to $250,000 each, like a standard bank that gives you a single account that's FDIC insured up to $250,000. But in this one, you can have multiple accounts. Okay, and I might be close on this, but I could be a little wrong because I haven't researched this in a while, and I'm not a banker. Okay, but it's the research I've done. From what I recall, again, because I haven't researched this in a while, but from what I recall, I think you can be FDIC insured. Again, you guys would want to verify this. I think you can be FDIC insured in a CDARS bank with multiple accounts up to around $10 million. The whole reason that we're doing this type of bank, bringing it forward, to cater to you, the dinar investor. Okay, we're trying to position you to where you have FDIC insurance for a high amount of money, because you guys are going to be worth large amounts of money. You're going to have a large net worth. Okay, I know I want this as me as an individual. Bruce would want this. Bruce is the gentleman. He's a God-fearing Christian man that's well versed in this. Okay, I'm just bringing you guys the best out there that we can put together for you. Okay. Oh, nice. One of our strong members thinks it's at more up to 50 million on the FDIC insurance aspect. Excellent. Thank you, Jody, for sharing that with us. Appreciate you. So, really good. It's an amazing bank, amazing investments. Okay, because again, data is suggesting that we're probably going to be entering into a recession sometime after the dinar revalues. And this is going to be, again, you want to be out of the US dollar. I'm not a financial advisor, but I personally don't want to be in the US dollar or the stock market or anything that's dollar based if that's, going to collapse and enter into a severe recession. Okay, I'd rather be in investment items, maybe like cryptocurrencies, metals, and these type of investment options, giving me a high amount of money that can be FDIC insured and so forth. Okay. Hold on. Someone asked a question. Is this bank just for folks in the U.S.? Well, so Alex, to help you out, you would really, to use any bank in any foreign country, my research has shown me you just need a residence there. As long as you have a residence in the country where you'd like to do banking, you need a residence there and you need to show some type of proof that you have residency there. That's what I believe allows you to would use a bank within that country. If you can show proof that you're somehow a resident there, you would need like a postal address, that kind of thing, okay? Or utility bills, that type of stuff. Okay. Hey, good morning, Brett. How you doing, buddy? All right, so let's get going here. Let's get into, so I wanted to let you guys know I was going to open up a specifically, not a standard, but a CDARS bank with more life insurance based investments that, your friends can accuse you of not paying your fair share of taxes because, again, you could be living, as long as you write loans to yourself, and again, you're in some of these, you're your own bank. If you're writing loans to yourself, you don't pay taxes on loans. It's that simple, okay? Let's get cooking on the daily news, and then I'm going to do a second video that's a much deeper dive for the Substack group. All right, let's get out of here. Here's the news. So again, what you're going to see in today's news, you're going to see that Iraq on a simple generic level is transitioning to going international. The movements they're making right now, though, are not sensitive to the rate changing. And yesterday we did more of a nuts and bolts strategic video onto when might the rate be changing? For example, what are we looking for? And we covered that in great detail yesterday, but only on Substack. So if you guys want to see the real research, fact-based, of course, because I don't sit here and show you my cell phone and say, oh, look what Eddie told me out of Iraq. Eddie told me this. In fact, the person that's sharing all that with you is stealing my information, just so you guys know, okay? And I don't say, oh, here's my twist and spin on the information, but not show it to you, okay? We just bring you facts so you have that real understanding. So the United Nations has already declared, the United Nations exited and ended their interactions of UNAMI operations with Iraq at the very end of 25. They're now transitioning to bilateral relations. Okay? Yes, they've transitioned to bilateral relations now with Iraq going forward. Different, more business, financial related matters on a bilateral level. Let's look at this first one here. Strong partnership with the Iraqi government to support national development priorities. See, again, these are international related matters now. It's no longer UNAMI. UNAMI has officially ended. Continuation under a new model. UN work in Iraq continues under the United Nations resident coordinator. So anyway, again, they're transitioning to international related business bilateral relationship moving forward. That's what you have to understand. And again, all of this, these new steps they're entering into are not rate change sensitive, but very soon the rate change sensitive matters will be implemented, requiring the rate to change. Okay, we do cover. Some of you are like, but wait, then why hasn't the rate changed? What are we waiting for? Again, we cover that on Substack. I can show you why the rate hasn't changed, what it needs, what it requires, what you as an investor should be looking for, what you should be trained to look for, because again, you're not getting that information, you're not getting that knowledge from other sources within this investment, from other sites. They're not training you on that. Okay? So again, it's important to understand all that. Let's exit this article, go to the next one. So Soudani is one step away from becoming the next prime minister. In fact, one thing we studied yesterday is I suggested to my viewer audience, because I'm honest, okay, that the rate probably at this point isn't going to change. It's just the data I'm seeing. The rate probably isn't going to change now until after that the government's formed. Now, from some of you guys, if you had the knowledge, you'd be aware the Constitution allows the formation of the government up to a period of 90 days. Okay? So 90 days, technically, the whole entire government formation process did not start until December 14th. So technically, the constitutional period would go from 90 days after that December 14th start date, which is March. So does that mean that the rate's not going to change until March? I don't know. I'll let you guys decide on that. But again, we studied this at a much deeper level, where yesterday I actually showed factual articles showing how long the government formation might take. Okay? So again, if the rate's probably not going to change from what I'm seeing until after the government is formed, but they're given 90 days, which would theoretically, per the Constitution, gives them up until around March 14th. Will it take that long? We're studying this in deep, thorough detail on the forum, showing you how long the government formation might last and might take, and we show you factual articles on that. So, but again, I want you guys to realize it's critical to understand, and again, those of you with me on Substack, we'll cover this at a much deeper level on Substack right after this video. UNAMI confirms continued support for the Iraqi government in a new chapter. Yep, the new chapter is an international chapter, working with Iraq internationally. Again, just proving to you, like I've been saying, they were going to go international in this year of January of 26, and they have. It's right here. Brand new chapter between Iraq and the United Nations, and it's an international chapter, okay? Again, they're probably just not going to change rate till after the government's formed. It's that simple. Part of it is the current caretaker, hear that word carefully, caretaker government, can't sign or implement, activate legal agreement and matters, okay? Yeah, you're funny there, Mr. Real Estate. Anyway, with your little comments. Anyway, the current caretaker government, and I hope you heard that, caretaker government cannot sign or activate or get into legal matters. They need a permanent government, seated government, to enter into legal binding agreements. That's part of why the rate can only change after the government's completed, just so you guys know. So again, international agreements now, an international new beginning. Arab newspaper indicate that Soudani is close to assuming the premiership in Iraq. And again, there's news suggesting that they could have more critical movements and towards a prime minister, next week. So, and again, in the next video for you guys on Substack, we'll get into that in the next video. We're going to look a lot deeper on this. Okay. Arab newspaper, yeah, Soudani is probably the next premiership. I got a couple different articles on that. So as you guys see, they're suggesting that Soudani is probably going to be reinstated or renominated as the prime minister. And that's critical to your knowledge and understandings in this. Okay? If you want to know why, we can help you with that. And I'm going to jump into that in the very next video. 500 megawatts will enter service via the Gulf interconnection. Again, for them to do this Gulf interconnect, and see how they're saying in the beginning of next year, meaning 26, that would be a Gulf interconnect. To do a Gulf interconnect, it involves trade and working with multiple different currencies, because again, it's an interconnect with, it's an electrical interconnection with many different regional countries and nations. So it involves trade and working with different currencies. That's why it says at the beginning of this year, next year, they're just saying that they need time to get that all put together and in place. But again, at the end of the day, it's dependent on, it's a trade setup working with foreign currencies. It's that simple. So international right there. This includes modern aircraft, vehicles. Civil Defense announces the complete of modernizing its fleet. Let's look at this one. Some of the key points. Iraq's Civil Defense Directorate completed 100% modernization of its vehicles and equipment. Okay, so obviously they've upgraded and improved and modernized their vehicles and their equipment. Does this have anything to do with Iraq going international? Yes, directly, operationally, and credibly. Why it matters. Fire safety, emergency response, civil protection, okay, faster response time. So that's what they're doing. They're just improving their everything from the quality of their equipment to their activation response times. Okay. They're saying here major international project proceeds, no major international project proceeds without certified civil defense, digital inspection records, enforceable safety regime. So all that's listed right here, okay? Just upgraded on an international level. And that's what they've done. They've gone international at the beginning of this year, okay? Customs announces the start of implementing the pre-clearance customs declaration for all goods and merchandise, okay? So as you see, again, trade is launching, and because trade is ramping up, also the value of the US dollar is. That's bad for the central bank. The central bank has worked aggressively to keep the parallel value of the dollar down against the Iraq dinar, but it's slowly going up right now because trade is ramping up, increasing. So the central bank has that little obstacle against them too, with how the overall value of the US dollar is increasing. So hold on. All right, sorry guys, I was just checking out some of the comments in the chat. Okay, so the General Authority Customs announced today, yesterday, Thursday, the commencement of the application of the pre-customs declaration on all goods, merchandise, while it indicated the commencement of the application of the new customs tariffs on hybrid cars and some goods. It confirmed the cancellation of the lump sum system for containers and ports and adoption of tariffs-based materials. So again, they're even using the word tariffs here. They have brand new tariffs, tax reforms, all that coming forward, but some of those matters, such as the tax reforms, along with the banking reforms, are rate change sensitive and dependent, okay? Along with this Escudia system here, they're telling you, it says tax deductions will be through the Escudia system, so that won't be 100% implemented till the rate officially changes. It's that simple. And here they're even talking about, it says customs centers and transferred via Escudia to the General Authority for Taxes within taxpayers' accounts for tax settlement later. Later means the tax settlement later aspect. That means later down the road, later in time, or later after the rate has changed. There you go. Okay. All right. Apologize here. Give me a second to see. So yeah, here, and we've talked already about a lot of this. Okay, here we are right here. So this, again, guys, a lot of this material is extremely repetitive. You've already seen it throughout the whole week. So again, this is just going to be kind of a short, quick video. Following UNAMI, United Nations begins a new development phase in Iraq. Yep, it's because it's no longer under a let's rebuild and achieve stability within the nation of Iraq, okay, while having them under sanctions. See, at the end of the day, the UN kind of controlled Iraq, kind of told them what to do while under UN Chapter 7 sanctions. That's a thing of the past now. Now they're working together more on a business bilateral level. And that's what this new development phase in Iraq simply means. Okay. In the next article here, it says al-Mashadani advises al-Halbusi, the new president, speaker of parliament, on the importance of enacting important laws. That's because they've got 150 plus laws, two of which, okay, would be the 2026 budget law and the HCL oil and gas law. Those are some of the laws waiting for approval after the rate has changed. Very simple. James Grace, I see in the chat in the chat room, you're asking about, has the 2025 budget been done yet? I would forget about that. I don't think that's going to be coming forward at this point. They did spend 7 months draft amending it. It could not get approved though because the rate had never changed. And again, at the end of the day, we're we're already into the brand new year of 26, so they really we're past the point of the 25 budget at this point, though, buddy. Hope that helps you out. Okay. All right, let's move. Again, they have 150 plus laws waiting for approval, waiting for the rate to change. That simple. Okay. And I made a typo here. I put 1,501 laws. Sometimes my mind thinks so fast because I've got that wonderful fun challenge of ADHD where my mind thinks faster than I do, faster than I react. Let's correct that. All right, updated and done. Let's get to the next article here. All right, so there's that sovereignty. The Sudanese man who facilitated the handover of the coalition headquarters and its withdrawal. The headquarters would simply be the UN. And again, the withdrawal of the UN, that's the UN exiting out. They've declared Iraq a sovereign state. They've given them their sovereignty back by exiting out. And as you see in previous articles from today's study, they're now entering into new relations between Iraq and the UN. Okay, business level bilateral relations because Iraq's international now. They will become 100% international when they can do trade with their own currency. And they've changed their rate, okay, and getting the remaining U.S. sanctions lifted. Okay, it's that simple, right? And then this is right here. This occurs after the rate change. Well, what is this? What occurs after the rate changes? The salary scale gets adjusted. I want you to think about something. When they go to lift the zeros off the currency, not off the exchange rate, off the currency, okay? When they go to lift that, what that does is it lowers the physical size of the currency that's in circulation. You don't have 25,000 notes or 25,000 dinar notes. You'd have a 25 dinar note, okay? Real simple. So what that's doing is if the size of the currency has scaled down and reduced, so would pay scales. It's that simple. So that's what's going to happen is the pay scales will reduce when the redenomination occurs and the size of the currency notes reduce, the pay scales reduce, true. But the currency will have an increased value. You know what? Let's talk about this for a second. Some of you said, hey, but we've heard this will be a 1-to-1. Technically, yeah, it is going to be 1-to-1. But you got to look at this from two different angles. Here's why it'll be 1-to-1. Let me stress this here. Hear me carefully on this. It'll be 1-to-1 only within the country of Iraq, not outside. Here's why. Here's how. Let's make you guys informed. So today, let's say whatever you can buy at the grocery store for a 25,000 dinar note that most of us as investors have and hold. You'll be able to buy the same exact items and amount of them with a 25 dinar note after. So yeah, in country of Iraq, it'll be 1-to-1. Whatever a 25 note buys, whatever a 25,000 dinar note buys before the rate change, a 25 note will buy after the rate has changed, okay? Now, so again, in country, that's 1-to-1. But you have to look at this from another angle. There's, what about outside of Iraq? There's the dinar against foreign currency value, okay? So again, let's say the foreign currency, so now we're expanding, reaching outside of Iraq. Let's say you have a dollar value. Let's just use a $3 value as an easy math example, okay? So the dinar after the rate change is worth $3, as an example, of course. You would have a $25,000 note. That would be worth, if it's worth $3, 25,000 is worth 75,000. A 25 note is worth 75. It's that simple, okay? So when the rate changes and they have a redenomination, it's going to be 1-to-1. The two currencies, the new smaller replacement notes will have the same, but any citizens in Iraq that physically kept their currency, okay, any citizens that physically kept their paper currency who did not deposit their currency in the bank, okay, as long as they physically hold their large 3-0 notes, the citizens will get very wealthy, okay? But they have to physically keep the paper notes and hold the paper. They can't deposit it in the bank. Once they've deposited in the bank, they're no longer allowed or are capable of getting rich, okay? Hold on. Someone says here, it says I'm flip-flopping. Jeff, you're flip-flopping. It's two different entities. The other day you said forming the government has nothing to do with the rate change. Top, it doesn't have anything to do with the rate change. Okay, understand the central bank can change the rate at any time. The government and the central bank are two completely different entities. Okay, the central bank years ago was declared autonomous from the government. So the central bank can change the rate at any time. Okay, now remember, they're not going to tell us what they're going to do. The only way you want to know what's going on is you have to study this. You have to actually open up your mind, dive in, and study this. If you're not going to study this, you don't know when the rate's going to change, okay? You don't know if the central bank's going to change the rate before, like while you won't know if the central bank is going to form the government, or I'm sorry, you won't know if the central bank is going to change the rate while the government's being formed, or if it's after they're being formed. They can do it. I'm not flip-flopping. The central bank can change the rate whenever they want. But you won't know this because, again, we don't have, they didn't release a dinar for dummies to tell us when the rate's going to change. If you want to know, bro, you got to get off your backside and study this, okay? Right now, from studying, it looks as though their actions are suggesting they're probably not going to change the rate till the government's being formed. Again, no one's flip-flopping here. We don't know anything if we don't study, if we don't dive in and research this, okay? So that's, again, it appears they're waiting until the government is formed right now because, again, we're at the very beginning of January. The central bank isn't making advanced steps and actions right now to suggest they're going to change the rate. And we don't even have top officials like right now, Mark Savia, who he's going to engage with Iraq on international matters. That means they're going to need formed official government signatures on these agreements between the US and Iraq when he goes there. Okay? A caretaker government cannot sign that level of those levels of agreements. It has to be a formed, completed government, not caretaker. So again, there you go. Hope that helps you out, buddy. All right, back to our studies. So again, I just wanted you to understand all this. Let's get into, so again, the pay scales come forward after the rate has changed, and they will reduce when the physical notes reduce in size. It's that simple, okay? So again, I've talked about a potential recession. If you guys study the value of the US dollar, and again, this is Middle Eastern news, guys. This is out of the Middle East. This news is straight from the Middle East, not the United States. The dollar opens 2026 with a notable decline against global currencies amid anticipation of Powell's successor. So I want you to see the Middle East is telling you that the value of the US dollar is weakening, okay? So there you guys go. Again, I'm just showing you the facts right here. The Middle East news is telling you the value of the dollar is weakening. Plus, if you guys understand how metals work, when metals such as gold and silver rise in value, like think of it as a scale. A scale has kind of the old-fashioned scales have two sides to them. Okay, they have the left side and the right side. One side would be metals, gold, silver. The other side's the dollar. They oppose each other. When gold and silver go up, dollar goes down. And what's happening with gold and silver right now? They're going up. And as you see, the dollar is going down. Think about that carefully. So now ask yourself, is there a recession coming? Because the facts are in front of you. Just helping you guys out. All right. So let's close this window. Let's go to the next one here. The dollar opens, yeah, we already covered that. After a historic year, precious metals begin 2026 with the collective rise. We just talked about that. Gold and silver are rising. The dollar is weakening. So think about this. Be careful how you invest your money after the rate has changed. I'm not a financial advisor, but I would not get into anything that's dollar-based like the securities or stock market. Okay, I'd be very careful to go that direction. Iraq expects 500 megawatts. Again, that's the GCC, the Gulf Interconnect. Iraq has to have a tradable currency. That's entering into the trade aspect, working with other countries, other foreign currencies, and so forth. Washington aims to end militia presence in Iraq 2026. So that's what Savia is going there for. Iraq does have some brand new legislation coming forward. Okay, they have some brand new legislation coming forward, and so I want you to realize with the new legislation that Iraq has coming forward, some of this laws or legislation have to do with removing the militias and so forth on that aspect. But again, Trump's also going to control that by through the means of like tariffs and lending money. Trump controls other countries in the world by money and lending and so forth. Okay, so right here. So anyway, that's the whole reason Savaya's going there, is to work with Iraq on ending the foreign presence of militias like Iranian influence and so forth. The next prime minister has been decided within the coordination framework. That was a misleading article because of some other data in it, not real critical. But as you saw, I showed you two other articles where they clearly said that that Soudani is most likely being highly considered as the next prime minister. The next prime minister has been decided. Okay. Suspicious military movements, a U.S. convoy, 50 vehicles heads, not real critical to our studies. In fact, the U.S. convoy of 50 vehicles headed from. So they're, and again, they've already said that right now our combat troops occupy the last base of Ain al-Assad. They're going to empty that base and turn that base back. Again, it's the last one with combat troops. As of next week, it'll be empty. We're going to be turning that. The U.S. will turn that back over to the country of Iraq for their sovereignty because they're going international. And the fact that the U.S. combat troops will be done basically as of next week at the last base. So combat troops and the UN exiting out by the end of 25, Iraq is international, okay? That's called sovereignty. So including hybrid cars, Customs begins implementing the pre-clearance customs declaration for all goods and merchandise. This was, again, this is as of today, and they even started some of these actions as of yesterday. Iraq's going international. Trade is ramping up. Unfortunately, the parallel dollar has increased and strengthened a little bit, which is going to kind of challenge the central bank. So they do need to get the rate changed a little sooner than later with trade ramping up and increasing the value of that US dollar. The Ministry of Justice launches electronic services because they are the certificate of integrity and replace the paper mail. The government institutions and facilities throughout Iraq are transitioning to going more app-based, electronic, transparent, online, web-based, and so forth from those angles. Iraq begins implementing new customs tariffs, right there, tariffs. That's foreign taxes with trade. That involves trade and foreign currencies, okay, on hybrid cars. So again, they're going international. It's right in front of you. So lots of critical stuff coming forward, guys. We're going to end this video here. So anyway, I don't see anything critical on the customs level or on the questions level on the left side. So, but just wanted you guys to realize Iraq's very close. If you guys want a deeper look into this, if you want deeper studies, you're welcome to join us on Substack. We can help you out. It's one thing that you're going to want to know. How long is it going to take them to form the government? Because again, right now, I was probably the only content creator that told you guys the rate was not going to change on January 1st, and it didn't. I don't tell you something that, that I don't think is going to happen, and it didn't happen. There was nothing suggestive out there suggesting that the rate was going to change on January 1st. From Iraq's angle, you had many different countries telling you that, hey, at the beginning of the year, they were going to make physical changes to their currency, again, which has to do with the alignment and timing positioning of their fiscal budget period. So they did. It's just Iraq's different right now because Iraq has a 26 budget, which is calculated off their currency value. The new currency value is part of that budget law. Again, all aspects of a law have to exist to approve it. So, but again, the currency value and the 26 budget, okay, have some very specific matters of and sets of criteria they need in place before they're going to change that rate. And there's a lot of deeper studies that are worth your time to study to say, okay, we probably need to see this, we probably need to see that before that's rates going to change. And that's what we're doing over at Substack. We're helping you dive in deeper to say, okay, we probably need to see this, this, and that. And if you understand it, it helps bring patience to you and it helps calm you down so you know what you could be looking for to say, okay, and you could see how fast those items and steps are happening. Okay, that's what we tried to do. Friends, have a great day. Have a wonderful upcoming weekend. You're the best. Thank you for joining, and have a good one. Take care.